So I was thinking about how many of you, is this too loud?
No.
How many of you remember the first time you heard a New Thought message, whether it was Unity or Science of Mind? How many of you remember the first time you heard the message? Right. It is such a life-transforming message. I remember exactly the place, the woman who was speaking, Reverend Marion Day Hall in San Diego, California. And Jason and I had been seeking, we had been looking for a place that we could both go to. I was raised a Southern Baptist, and so I kept dragging us to different Baptist churches, looking for someplace I thought, what I needed was someplace a little more progressive. And finally he said, listen, I'm going to start looking, and you go with me. Great. You find something, I'll go. And so we found that place. And I walked in and heard her speak, and I knew that I was home. Jason and I both knew that we were home. We were so excited. We were at that center every time it opened. Every class they ever gave, every Sunday talk, every opportunity, we were there. They had a speaker there once, John Randolph, was it Price? John Randolph Price? Yeah, from Boerne, Texas. He was in San Diego. And he came to talk about his 40-day prosperity plan. He and his wife were so funny and so amazing. And so we dove into that. We just loved what we heard. And then my mother, who lived in Texas, got ill. And she wanted to retire. And she was unable to do it. And so we decided, we were already retired from our regular jobs, and we decided to go ahead and move to Texas. We had a little bit of money. She was already living in a house that she was renting that was coming up for sale. It was right in the neighborhood that she loved, right by her friends, right by her church. So we thought, we'll just go ahead and buy it. But of course, my fear or concern was, what am I going to do? I've just found the greatest place for me to be. My tribe, surely they don't have something like that in Texas. What am I going to do? It didn't even occur to me, by the way, to ask Marilyn for some help, to say, hey, what's out there, where should I go? It didn't even occur to me. We just came because we were worried about my mom, so we just came. And we did some stuff with her, all of that, and we decided we needed a place to be, besides working all the time with mom. So we went and looked at a place. We found a house, weekend home in Lake Whitney. The lady who lived next door, Patsy Bynum, I will never forget her. She was talking about a church that she goes to, and I said, well, what church do you go to? And she was hemming and hawing, it's different. I said, that's okay. I'm open to different. And that's when I met and stepped into a Unity church. I'd never heard of it. And stepped into a Unity church. My point is this, is that I'm always concerned about how will I keep this tribe going? How will I keep this message for me? Because this is life for me. I don't know how to live without having this tribe, without having these daily talks with people who understand God the way I do. And I was worried about that. But it turns out I didn't need to worry. Because if you ask, it will be given to you. God finds a way that your tribe shows up for you wherever you are. Wherever you are. And so I understood that God was always going to be where I needed him to be, her to be, it to be, whatever you call God, George for me. And how I keep God near, because that's always a concern, but how I keep God near was three things that I did. And this occurred to me when I was in Asia for like 11 years, and I couldn't find a tribe. There was no Unity or Science of Mind, but so then how do I then stay in this frame of mind and this thinking? So what happened was three things. Number one, I surrendered. And I said, I don't want to wake up, and we had this talk in our class this morning, I don't want to wake up and realize I haven't been in conversations with God for quite some time. I don't ever want to do that. That's what you guys do for me. That's what we do for each other. Staying in conversation with each other and God. I don't want to wake up, so I surrendered to the fact that I didn't know how to do it. Number 2, I asked for help. And I claimed that I will never, ever step away from this knowing and God again in my life. Ever. And number 3, I kept the covenant with God. I created one and kept it. So that's what we do. And I heard the message from God about what to do. And so I just got into meditation on that every day. So what I want to talk to you today about is becoming a mystic. Becoming a mystic. What is a mystic? A mystic is someone who allows for the understanding, abundance, and having an opulent life. Who allows for understanding, abundance, and having an opulent life. A person who seeks by contemplation and self-surrender to obtain unity with the one. That's all a mystic is. It's not a big deal. It sounds mystical, but we all are actually mystics already. Because we are people who seek to find understanding. We surrender to the fact that we don't know. We don't know. And only when you surrender, when I say surrender, I'm just meaning ask. That we are ready to hear what it is that Spirit has to share with us. That's the only way we're going to hear it. We talked about today in class about God will always be where you need God to be. But here's the thing. I don't want God to be where I need him to be, or her to be, or it to be. Because need is a place of where my life isn't going well. I don't want to need God. I want to love and know God. Do you understand that? And so I get to claim ahead of time that God is in my life. Not waiting until I need it, because I want it. Because having God and understanding this in my life is the door and the key to love. And that's all there is. If I look at you and I know who you are the face of God. You are the place where God stands in this place, in this earth. That's who you are. When I look at you and I know that, there is nothing but love that comes from me and through me to you and from you, because you are love. If I know that you are God, I know that you are love. And that's how we get to live. And that's what being a mystic is. Knowing that everyone you speak with, you're looking at the face of God, whether they know it or not. It doesn't matter. I remember as a kid, maybe sometimes you guys do this too, when God spoke to me. I remember this particular instance when I was worried. Kids worry about everything. And I was worried about something in particular. My parents are going to be upset about something. I think I lost something, and they're going to be upset. And I went to bed thinking about this thing. Where is it? How do I find it? And I woke up in the morning knowing exactly where it was. And I knew where to find it. Okay, you all have had that experience. That is a mystical experience. How do you know? Beyond logic. How do you know? It's a mystical experience. We all have had it. You're already that. So we're not becoming mystics. We are realizing that we already are. That is what we get to do. Realizing that we already are mystics and we already have the power. We are in new thought. What was missing for me, and this is not talking about other religions because they're there for who needs them. We're here because this is our tribe. That's all. And people are where they are, where their tribe is. But what was missing for me was I wanted a church that just wasn't a Sunday place. Right? I didn't want a place that only talked about and blessed me and relieved me of all the things that I had done on Sunday. Told me how horrible I was, but that's okay because God loves you. God loves you. Move on. And then I had nothing. I didn't know how to do anything throughout the week. How do I bring that feeling and knowing of God, who I am, who you are, throughout the week? That's what New Thought does. It's a teaching church. It's a teaching ministry. not a church, it's a ministry, teaching center. And so we teach you, help you recognize what you already know, and show you the way. So when you recognize it and whatever resonates for you, then you become your own mystic throughout the week. Throughout the week, and you have the life you want every single day, not just on Sunday. That's what we do here. That's what it's all about. So, what is mysticism? It's about having joy and bliss and abundance. It's the practice of spiritual experiences that lead to joy, that lead to abundance, that lead to bliss. So what are the practices that we do here in New Thought, and even at Harmony? What are the practices that we have, that we do?
Prayer, meditation,
Yes, prayer,
affirmations, permissions, music, connecting with each other.
Exactly. Okay, we already have those practices that we do. Alone, prayer and meditation, talking with God. That's how we do it. Declaring our lives, because when we pray, we recognize, all we're doing is recognizing that there is only one power. This is known throughout the universe. It's not just us. No matter what religion, church, wherever you go, however they practice it, the one constant is we all know there is one. Everyone comes to that point that there is one. And we are connected to the one. So therefore, we are connected to each other. And when we are connected to each other, that's how we love. That's how we love. So we practice through prayer, meditation, contemplation, being around our spiritual tribe. I was raised with consciously aware mystics. My mother was one. She talked about God all the time. She called on Jesus. She would set an empty table because she didn't have enough and have us sit there expecting food to show up, and it did. I saw it in my life. She called on Jesus all the time. I know for a fact, as I told you before, that Jesus saved lives. My mother would call on him, Jesus! Don't let me kill my kids! So I know he saves lives. So I was raised with tribal mystics. Who are the mystics in your life? Who are the mystics in your life that you know live this life of knowing God? And every time you look at them, you know who they are, that they are connected to God. You're probably one of them. But who are the mystics in your life? We surround ourselves with these people that help us remember. It's easy when we get out into the world on Monday through Saturday to forget. This is the issue. We forget who we are and who they are. And so we have to remind ourselves all the time. And I surround myself with not only mystics in my life, but I actually have them on speed dial. Listen, I'm in Walmart. I was cussing somebody out. But you need that, because we are in this human space and we do forget what's happening because of the things that are going on around us, because of people who don't know, and they forget who they are, and they're showing up as if they don't know, but we have to remember and surround ourselves with people who remember as well, for us, help us to remember. So think about who the mystics are in your life. Put them on speed dial. Call them up. I call them what dinner? Oops, sorry. This is a good question. All right. Let me go backwards. I'm sorry. I actually hit that. I didn't mean to go there.
That went forward.
Was that the wrong one? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that going backwards or?
Yes, that's going backwards. Keep going.
Okay.
Very good.
There we go. That's what I wanted. Because what I want to talk about here is that there's nothing that limits us in the universe. God is the source of everything, and it's limitless. Right? God is source and supply, unlimited. So if we see limitation in our lives, where is it coming from? Yes. It's coming from us, our inability to accept. We were talking about what's good, what good can come our way. We talked about this in our class this morning. We talked about the gifts that God gives us. We're born with all kinds of gifts. And for some reason, we seem to think that we only have one. Right? And it's not true at all. Because if God is unlimited, we have lots and lots of gifts. When we find one and say, okay, well, that's mine, and there's nothing else. There's lots and lots of gifts, but unless we accept it, so we don't manifest it. We don't show it. It doesn't show up because we won't accept it. I remember telling you, I was, again, in class, I think, one time, and talking to some of you about why I don't like songwriting. That I don't write songs because I don't actually like it. I feel pressured. Like because I sing, I should write songs. And I feel pressured. That's the story I told myself. Turns out that was a lie. What happened when I went to the music workshop that Melinda Wood Allen, Sue Riley, and Karen Drucker put on about last month, and myself and Ken went. Karen had a song workshop, and she sat down and she said, all of you are writers. We're going to write a song right now. I want you to write a song, just a little ditty for your church. Think about what your church mission is and vision, and write a little ditty about that. And so I sat there, and our vision and mission is that we are joyously inclusive, spiritually enlightening, and life transforming, and that we need to be here for ourselves and for those who are looking for us. And so I wrote this ditty. We are here for our tribe, our arms open wide. We are here, we are here, we are here. That's it. But since that day, every single morning at my meditation time, I'm telling you, I'm talking to God, I'm like, I don't have time for this song, I'm trying to talk to you. 3 or 4 songs every single morning flow out. So what it was I was afraid. And because I was afraid, I didn't think I had the talent to do it. So because I was afraid, I didn't accept it. And I told myself the story, I don't like it. And what it was is that I was afraid. And when they sat down and they said, you are a writer, you're going to write right now, it opened the door. And I see now clearly, I am a songwriter. I love it. It's who I am. It's another gift that I have. We all have gifts. So I want to tell you this. I talk to you guys a lot. I talk to different people. And people say, I have everything I want. I'm happy. There's nothing else I want. I can tell you right now, just like I lied to myself, that is a lie. It just is. And the reason why is because there is always more. We're evolving. Spirit always has something more for you. So if that's something, and you may not, I'm not telling you that, but I'm saying if you are, think about what that really means. Think about what is really happening, because Spirit is unlimited. There is no limitation in our lives except what we put on it. So if you want something, just claim it. And if you cannot, call me. Put me on speed dial. I'll walk you through it. I'll walk you through it. Because we're going to do it. So when we vision our lives, when we are talking about what we can have or we can't have, we're talking about more happiness, more love. We always want more. That is in us to do, to want. And Spirit will supply that ability. So how do we do it? We have to ask questions of ourselves. Why is that true? That's what I asked after they told me that I could write. How is that possible? I can't write. How can I write? Can't, but then I asked another question because I was hopeful. Can that be true? Show me the way. Show me the way. So we get to ask ourselves the questions, and you get into discussion with yourself. With yourself, knowing yourself, being truthful with yourself. That is very difficult to do. Because the thing, Marianne Williamson talks about is it's not our light. It's not our darkness, it's the light. It's the light that we fear. It's the light. It's how great we actually are. And that sounds so crazy that we be fearful of that, but it is true. We actually are. And I'm not saying you're not great now, I'm saying there's always more. That's how Spirit is unlimited and He has so much more for you all the time. So just say yes. Just say yes. That's what we do. So you are already a mystic. You already are. Claim your mystical life every day. Every day. We want to live abundantly and fully. And we do that by surrendering to love. Surrendering to love. That's all there is. That's all there is that matters. There is no duality. There's only God. There's only us. You are God in the place where you stand. So there's only God. You're all love. You're unlimited. And it's okay that we re-look and rethink our lives. What worked for me yesterday doesn't necessarily work for me today. And that's okay. We get to ask a new question. We can ask a different question. It's all right. There's no limitation to what we can do, what we can ask, and what we can be. So we claim our joy. We claim our abundance. We have the life that we are here to live. Life is right now. Right now. It's not about tomorrow, it's not about yesterday. It's right now. You can make a choice right now, anytime that you want to. And here's one other thing that I want you to know. Whatever you're doing, it's good. Wherever you are, it is good. It is good. It is good. Namaste.
Please join me as we give our tithes and offerings. Divine love, through me, blesses and